What should you be doing if you're an 8th grader in order to play college soccer? I'm the college soccer guy. I help you play college soccer. I'm going to explain it to you right now. What's so important to understand first is to identify whether or not you are an elite level 8th grader or if you're not really sure if you want to play college soccer. If you think you're an elite level 8th grader, which means you're playing at the ECNL, RL, NAL, DPL, ECNL, MLS Next levels, E64 would count as well. If you're playing competitive travel soccer, you could be an elite level 8th grader. And if that's the case, there's a lot of advantages you can take in order to play college soccer. For example, I'm going to give you a case study of me working with an elite level 8th grader who's playing in MLS Next. And we're going to walk through what we're going to do with him in order so they can get a big scholarship to play Division I soccer because they're an elite level 8th grader. Now, I just want to preface before I jump into that video is, as an 8th grader, if you go to an ID camp and you do really well, it's really helpful and really amazing because you're going to be the youngest one there. We just had a kid go to San Diego State ID camp who's an 8th grader. He's big for his age. He did really well, and the coaches are like, wow, we're impressed because you were playing with older kids. Even though the camp level might have been mixed, he was 3 or 4 years younger than everybody else. That's why it's so amazing. Once you do well at camp as a sophomore or a junior, honestly, sometimes it doesn't help you that much, especially at the D1 level, because they're going to go, great, we don't really know the level of the camp. We don't know if you're actually that good. So we need to see you at a showcase. We need to see you at another camp. And it's difficult to move the needle to the D1 schools, especially if you're not playing MLS Next and going to the biggest showcases in the country or ECNL. So if you want to take advantage of your opportunity as an elite level 8th grader, you only have about 8th and 9th grade to do that. After that, you're just a normal person like everybody else. Again, this is only for elite level 8th graders playing MLS Next or ECNL or very high level club teams. So I'm going to jump into it with this student here, and you'll get to see exactly what it's like. Tell me what's new in life.
Well, I don't know if you know, but I'm going to a showcase in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I was invited to go to a LIGA Select in Madrid trial. And I've recently switched from being a center back to like a part-time left back in a way.
Okay. And how are you enjoying that?
Great. It's great.
It's great. Do you prefer that to center back?
Yes.
Okay. Your future it's very likely it can be in that role. It may change a couple times again. A quick question for you. When is the Select La Liga that you were invited to? Did they give you a date?
November 25th to December 2nd.
Yep.
Okay,
Or
sorry.
November 23rd.
Today.
November what, sorry?
I think it's 23rd actually, or 25th, I think.
November 23rd to when?
Give me 2 seconds.
December 2nd. It's to December 2nd, but.
Perfect. Good job. Okay, I put that in here. La Liga Select. Okay, awesome. And perfect. Who approached you about that?
Here's how that happened. There was a Dallas Cup, a big tournament that it's 45 in its 45th year.
Mm-hmm.
They approached the team manager, who subsequently sent me a text and asked if he could provide my details to the La Liga folks. So they watched him play, asked our team manager who he was and for my contact details. And
okay.
Subsequently the invitation occurred.
Awesome. Does he know you have a European passport?
I don't think so.
Okay. So it's strange to me, not strange. Look, the La Liga Select has a good reputation amongst picking good players. Like, good players get picked for this. From a college perspective, and frankly, even pro, the very first question they should ask you is, do you have a European passport? So and then they should basically tell everyone else that doesn't to consider that it will be more difficult for them to do anything if they go abroad. Now, they don't do that because they go, well, worst case, it's a great experience. And if the team really, 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 really likes you, they can break the rules. Yeah, but not really. So my point is to say, I want your son to play at the highest level of soccer. Obviously, college is an avenue that we found each other. So I'm going to help him on that route. But also, if he can play pro soccer or pro youth academies that either help him go pro and or play college soccer, I'm going to support you in that realm as well. So I understand that you've sent them. At this point, they know you have a passport. So that's what I just want to make sure. I want them to know that because when you are over there and they're playing with teams, it's very important that they know that. It's very, very important. And if we have to revisit that leading up to it, like 6 months before, hey, I'm excited to come. Here's a new video. I'm being recruited by colleges, blah, blah, blah. By the way, remember, I have a passport. That just has to be in their front of their mind. Okay, that's great. So right now, what's your schedule like right now? Like, tell me about when do you have training?
Usually on Mondays it'll go from 6:30 to 8. Then Tuesdays 7:45 to 9:15, I think.
9:30.
Yeah, 9:30. And then Monday is the same as Wednesday. And Thursday is the same as Tuesday.
Cool.
And then I don't have any practice on Friday.
Okay, then we have games on the weekend. Um, I just like to know your schedule so I know what you're doing. And right now, do you like your coach that you're with at the minute?
Yes.
Um, has your coach talked to you about anything regarding college or the national team or just anything in general?
No.
Okay. Does he
So,
know? Oh, go ahead, please.
so he did mention that the scout from Philadelphia Union had asked about him, but there was no additional follow up from there.
Okay. Why do you think he would he tell you that because he's just being honest, or was he saying like you guys should look into that?
He believes that there are two players on his team, Rafael and another player, who have the maturity and the aptitude to to play for an MLS academy. He is one of the few coaches that I've met who isn't basically saying, let me hold on to a roster spot because that means a paycheck. He seems to be looking out for his players' best interest.
Lovely. That's rare, very rare, very, very rare. That's
Yeah.
lovely.
On Tuesday, I asked my coach if I could do a coach interview, and I said for like colleges to send out at my North Carolina showcase, and he was kind of like, you're not really ready for it. You don't really need to look into that. Like there's really no point in doing that.
Okay, don't worry about it. Look, not every coach, we do this pretty often. I would probably say like 75% are open to it, and the other ones are like, I don't want to do it. I'm busy, and you don't need to do it, and don't do it. And it's just more work for them. I'm telling you, that's why I do what I do, that he's wrong, but it doesn't matter. We're not here to, I don't need to convince him. You can talk to all the other students. That's why we're here talking today. You don't need his interview. And here's the good news. When they reject the interview, when we do get some emails back from college coaches, which I do anticipate happening, and we say to him, would you mind calling them? He can't say no anymore because we had asked him for his help and he said no. So now it's his fault, which is in the end, it's not a big deal. And second, like you are ahead of your other kids and you're taking this very seriously just by asking the question. Now, you submitted a video to me. You didn't submit it correctly, but it's not a big deal. I'm going to help you fix it. My question to you though is, have we filmed the self-interview yet?
No.
Okay, that's okay. I'm going to help you do that today because I'm going to fix your video and I can fix your video, very quickly, but I need this first and I'll help you do that. There's a really nice kid individual. And on the field, you sometimes, hit a great tackle. The coaches need to be able to differentiate between you hitting a great tackle because you're not a nice person versus you're committed. And a very brief 15-second interview can go a really long way. So that is non-negotiable and it's in your control. Okay. I'm in the class 2009, so I've been invited twice to the national camp. And I've been offered player contract by the Paris-based soccer club. Da, 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 da. Thank you for watching my video. And then you're gonna smile. Your brother's done this, so he can help us do it. Okay, now.
So on the video, it was an incredible game. And interestingly, Rafael saved the game. He helped the team go on to the finals.
Awesome.
But the video quality is horrible.
Yeah, I saw that. I did see that. What we'll do is we can mention like in the bottom, like helped us go to the final. You can't do anything about video. This is why I have this discussion today. You having a bad quality video today, no big deal. You have a bad quality video in a year from now, that's a problem. To that end,
should we
yeah,
look at we have other video.
yes, the answer is if you have another game, I'd like the bottom line is between now and July, I'd like 3 every touch videos. So if you give me this one and the quality's not great, and you can give me another one, I'll compare the two and I'll pick which one I want us to use. So the answer is yes. If you have another game that is good, where you played well, right? I don't want a game where you didn't play well because I don't need that. But if you played in another game that you felt you played well, please submit it. And I'll edit all of them no matter what, even if it's just in case. I'll just always edit them. And then I'll decide with you guys, like, I like this one. This one was really good. We're just going to use it for Instagram. So that's good. Okay. That brings us to this next thing. This is a little complicated, but important. Do you want to leave your club? Would you be open to leaving it? Solar's a great team. I played in Dallas Cup. I'm very familiar with your club. But, Philadelphia showed interest. And now there's some other academies that would show interest. But if we open that Pandora's box, then we open it. So my question, I guess, to your father first is that something you want to look into?
If I go to France and do a residency there, I do it. Playing for an MLS club, playing for FC Dallas, yeah, kind of know what that movie looks like. And it's not, I think we know, unfortunately, or at least what it has been for the last 3 years. And it's been a lot of favoritism for kind of a player that, is in his same position. So interestingly, there's another MLS Next team not associated with a club that was when Solar left MLS Next, this other group was created, and they were specifically created as a feeder to FC Dallas. They've called and asked us to come out on Sunday. The challenge that I see is, when I look at their schedule, I'm like, they're going to play 9 league games plus a showcase in December, and then they won't be in the top 2 to go to MLS Next, this flex or playoffs or whatever. So it's like you just don't play any. You don't play any games. So is it better to be in ECNL and you're playing? I mean, this particular coach, he's 20 to 24 games minimum in ECNL. Plus, this coach is, from his relationships, he was trying to get one of his teams to Atlanta, to play a number of teams there, including their MLS Next team. Is it better to be with a coach that knows you and likes you and is developing you and is looking out for your best interest, but you're playing in ECNL, or to just be in the MLS Next league?
Good question.
But you're not playing any games.
The first thing that you said was the residency aspect, and obviously you have the one abroad. One of the things, here's what I'm suggesting, but we don't have, this doesn't have to be final. I want us to look into the other options only via email, and we're just going to talk, just going to have conversations. So that is to say, there are some residencies for us to talk about, like BlackRock, which is like a residency program that's very academic oriented, but it's the best in terms, like BlackRock, Northward Prep, which is like the same thing, is very good. And they should know who your son is, and we can decide not to go if we so choose. Their problem is the level's not as high as an MLS Next Academy, traditionally, like affiliated with an MLS team. But academically, it's amazing. Like they have a very good track record. Obviously, you've heard of IMG, you've heard of Shattuck. Those are really the best ones. All I'm saying is, here's the good news is, when you send an email out to these, teams, all these coaches are also the same coaches that know the coaches at Philadelphia, at Dallas, like they're all the same people. So sending an email, there's nothing. But the big one that I would like for your son is Barca. If we're talking about a residency in the United States, soccer-wise, This is the best one. Soccer specific, not academically. It's still good academically, but not BlackRock level. But I think this is better than IMG, my opinion. But regardless of any of that, all sending emails to those schools is really easy, and they do have open tryouts, and we can discuss it. And with your son's current resume, they'll pay attention. So we'll talk about those. And sending emails to those is easy, is really easy. That's why we're gonna have the video, etc. When it comes to the MLS teams, like a Philadelphia, getting their emails is difficult sometimes. So we have to use LinkedIn. And here's the biggest thing that you'd mentioned. So here's my other point. In addition to think about these as colleges. So don't think about them as residencies. We're going to email all the colleges that are interest to us and just see what they have to say. If BlackRock come back and go, we think you're blah, 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 we'll put you in our USL2 team when you're 12 or 15. Sure, we'll have a discussion about it because USL2 would be well above his age group. And frankly, unfortunately, USL2 actually doesn't get recruited very often in college, which doesn't make any sense because it's literally college players, but it's its own dynamic. So the point is, I want us to email like MLS academies so we can just know who they are. The other reason it's helpful is, let's say down the line, we want a college to be interested in us. And we say, Philadelphia Union have been interested in me, but I haven't heard from you, Columbia. That's a real easy one. Or vice versa. Columbia's talking to me, Philadelphia Union. Why aren't you talking to me if that's a route we want to take? So the process is kind of the same, but you said something really important at your son's level, which is that your coach is in your corner, and your coach in your corner at a high level club is a really impactful thing. So I don't think we should think about to your point about the Sunday thing. Couldn't you go train on Sunday without pissing off your coach, or no?
I've informed him that, the offer has been made.
Okay, wonderful. And
so he knows.
Okay, great. So what I would say is go train with the team on Sunday because you have nothing to lose. Rafa, you can say, I hate the coach, or I love the coach, or the players are really good, so it's a better environment. You're really facing right now the big fish, small pond, or the small fish, big pond problem. That's what you were debating right now. And at this age, at this time, being with a coach that likes you is the move. So if you had to say to me, what should you do? I'd say stick around with your coach for the time being. We're going to email a bunch of other schools and teams and clubs and just see what the landscape is. But your ECNL group is basically the big fish in the small pond. It's ECNL. You're playing a lot of games. It's a very good team. Your coach likes you. It's helpful. The point is, MLS Next does play a lot of weight, but not today. It's okay. So that is to say, in this mass email that we're going to send out, and we'll draft it today, we're going to send it to the residencies, and we can also send it to there are multiple residencies abroad. I don't love just going to a company that has an international program. That doesn't make sense. If it's the one you talked about in France, that's a legit, then that's different. And then we're also going to send it to colleges, and we can also send it to MLS Next teams. Have you written an email out to anybody, even a club or college at any point?
No, I have not.
No problem. That makes my life easier. Whenever we send an email, very important. I'll say this once, and if I have to say it again, I will, but I prefer not to. You must always say dear. So simply put, you always say dear coach every time. Even if they say to you, hey, bud, it's like saying yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Just every time. That's what you do. Okay. Then we're going to find something genuine. Now we're only going to do this for our top 50 schools for D1. And I'll make you create a top 15 schools for D3. But we're going to spend some time leading up to the showcase because the email for the showcase, we want it to probably go out in 2 weeks, a week or two. I need your video done before we're going to send it out. So genuine, okay. Then you're going to say, I hope this finds you well. I have read and heard great things about you and your program. Period. Okay. Now, then we have what's called the template. This is the part that never changes whenever you send your first email. It will always be the same. It will always be basically your resume in very short fashion. So it's important right now, and your template will always sit here. And then we're going to change it. Right now, this is your mass email template. We'll eventually have mass email template. How would you describe your grades? Would you say they're A's? Are you on a scale? Would you say they're top level grades? How would your school describe them?
A little bit above average.
Okay, is it A's and B's?
3.8.
3.8, thank you. That's your template today. It may change. Now we are gonna have a D1 template, and we're also gonna have a D3 template because this is for the showcase. Then you're gonna say this. You know, I will be attending the showcase from to. Your subject line is going to be US National. I know it's not like an official call-up, but when you do a subject line, you make it pop. And then in the email, it explains what that means by call-up. Then you're gonna write, and this is a little bit coy of me, but I'm not gonna put your grad year in the subject line because some coaches will just be like, I'll deal with it later, and they won't get to it. So let them believe that you're something relevant today, and you are relevant today. But every coach has different philosophy, and the coaches we're going to be talking to recruit you now. But we are going to send an email to some other schools for leverage, and some of them wait a little bit longer. So then you're going to say here, to the showcase, I have attached my schedule below, and then you're going to do your schedule. So here's your showcase, and this is how you're going to write it out. It's very clean. It's very specific because coaches, like, it's a really silly way to not get seen because like your schedule wasn't clear and concise so they can print it out easily. The one thing that's different than most people is you put in your jersey color. You have people know who Solo are, so it shouldn't be an issue. But sometimes there's like two teams and we don't know the family, if the coaches are good or the managers are good, they'll hand out a pamphlet with like your information, but they never put the color of the team. The other reason we do it is because sometimes you're going to send an email to a coach and they're not going to remember who you are. But coaches like myself are much better remembering video than we are faces or names. That's how coaches work. So it needs to be in your email. Okay. Is number 6, set up signature and watch the Gmail chapter in our Gmail section in chapter 1. Now, we didn't put in the ask. Okay. There's always an ask when we do almost every initial email, we're going to have an ask. Follow-up emails, sometimes. The ask in the Division 3 comes after the genuine, and we're going to say, may I have permission to shake your hand in person at the showcase? So the reason we ask this question is because, one, I'm forcing a meeting, which I prefer because I'd like you to meet with them. Number 2, if I said to them, are you going to be at the showcase? And they say yes, it doesn't move any needles. Okay, great. They're going to be there. Are they going to come to my game? I have no idea. Shaking their hand. Sometimes coach will go, please come find me. Great. Now I have a meeting with a coach off campus, which is glorious. The other reason we ask the question like this is if they may say to you, I'm not going to be at the showcase. Okay, great. So now this question does so many things versus just one question. So that's with the D3. The D1 template is very similar. Okay, so D3 is very similar, except it's a little different because D1s are not supposed to respond to you. And since they're not supposed to respond to you, we want to not be too naive. But in this scenario, we're going to go, I understand you cannot respond to me at this time. Thank you so much for your regarding recruiting. Thank you so much for your time. And now here's the C. If you get a robot email that basically says, we're not allowed to talk to you until your sophomore year, then they did not read this part, and it means that they did not read the email. On the other end, if they say, thank you for your understanding, that means they read the whole email. Because now we know they know who you are, and they're not going to respond the first time. It takes a couple. They get 100 emails a day from juniors, okay? Not that we have to go this time. Like, let's say we do this next summer. That's okay too. But this camp, Masters, is a very good camp for basically, I don't tell anybody to go to mass ID camps, meaning with multiple schools. Usually, after sophomore year, I don't allow them. It's like with Alden, we're not going to do multiple schools at one place because the schools literally just tell you, hey, it was great to have you at camp. Could you come to my camp? And then you're like, why did I go to what was the point? But at your son's age, it's different. At his age, the coaches are going to know him and they're going to go, okay, now we're going to come to your game. Now we're going to watch your video. Now we're going to call your coach. Now we're going to da-da-da. So it's worth it for these mass ones. And this is the top of the top, basically, from an academic and performance perspective. When you're finding genuine aspects, how do you find them is kind of the question. So there's a section here. First thing you're going to do is you're going to click on their website and you are going to go to their schedule. Okay. You got to see how they did last year. Now, in your case, they recruit years in advance because they can. So Stanford's a good example. They had a pretty good season, but like given their standards, this year was like very good quarterfinals, and they beat Marshall, who's very, very good. So they would say it was a pretty good season, but their goal is to win the whole thing. So if they don't do that, kind of not a great season. So good for you to know. Wasn't their best season ever. Here's their camps. So all you need to do basically is click this one. You can just highlight this just so we know. And you go back to here. You go back to your Stanford section for D1. Boom. We'll just make Stanford your first one. Stanford, camp date. So now you have the camp date. Just so you know, that's all. It's just like now you know what it is, and you know it's in June. We're not going to probably go, but now you know. Then you go to their roster, and at this point in your career, it's unlikely you know anybody, but maybe you do. And if you do know somebody, that's really, really helpful. Okay, then you're going to go to their coaches, and these coaches have been around for a long time, and basically what you want to do is scroll down to the very bottom. I don't care about the statistics, and just look at something genuine. So first of all, he played in England. All right, at the pro level. You've been invited in your email to a pro team abroad. So that might mean something. If you do speak French?
Yes.
Okay, so if like a coach is French, like actually the coach of Claremont, which is in California, the assistant coach is French and speaks French, sorry. And that would be cool. You could speak French with them. How cool is that? So there's nothing genuinely found so far. All-American, played professionally for the Chico, blah, 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 Nashville, he was blah, 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 blah. So he was a baller once upon a time. Then we'll go to the assistant coaches and we'll do the same thing. And you're just trying to see if there's any connection you have. French, study the same thing. Maybe your father studied the same thing. Manchester in England. So they're very British, and they play British soccer. They just kicked Stanford played really bad soccer. But they win games. So, you know, what's the difference? When Winter's leadership has helped excel, blah, 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 blah. Winter led offensive player along with the team. He coached da, 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 da. Okay, nothing super helpful. All right. So let's pretend you find nothing. You're going to go to Stanford men's soccer YouTube or ESPN Plus if you have ESPN Plus. But here's them against Marshall, for example, which they won. So there's a good example. So you would say, I watched your game against Marshall, and you play center back and you play left back. So you would compliment one of those players. Say, I watched the game against Marshall and I thought number so-and-so had a great game. They want players that have watched their team because they're like, oh, you get our game model and you care, and that's like cool for them. That's exactly what they would love to hear. One day, we're going to get picky, and you're going to pick a school that you want, not a school that wants you. And if you watch Stanford and go, they never pass to each other, I don't want to be part of a team that doesn't pass, that's good for you to know. And you should not do that. On the flip side, you might go, it's Stanford. They pass enough. I'm a center back. I get the ball all the time. I'm going to play and I'll be happy. So your email to Stanford is ready to go. I'll put it right here. Number 9, Stanford. Your genuine aspect would basically be, I watched your game against Marshall, and I thought your center backs played really well, and I really enjoyed following your team last year. Done. Genuine's done, and now you just copy paste everything else that we wrote. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If my coach asks, the exposure that I'm trying to get is from colleges.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, don't talk about other club teams.
Yeah.
Just if he says like, why do you want this video? You can say, you know, I saw online that it's helpful. You can, I don't mind if you blame me, but the moment you blame me, he'll think he doesn't need to help you. And I don't want him to think that. I want him to think you're on your own, looking at stupid information, and he should come in and help you. Because then if he comes and helps you, it will help all of us.
Okay.
If he thinks you have somebody, he'll just be like, okay, go talk to that guy. And of course, I'm going to help you do everything, but I'd prefer him to think you're a lost duck and guide you.
We were really detailed with this student using all the tools that you kind of saw there. If you want more help playing college soccer and you are an elite level 8th grader, give us a call, give me a call, and I look forward to talking to you soon and trying to help you in your situation.